And we are live, ladies and gentlemen, and we're back. Welcome to another episode, the Backmarkers F1 Show. This is recapping the 2019 Singapore Grand Prix. And guess who else is back? P1 Sebastian, P1.
P1 Sebastian.
Oh, I thought you were
well
talking
done.
about Tyler.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah, I guess he is back too.
I missed
Fair enough.
one episode?
Yeah.
2 episodes?
But you missed
One,
it
just
on the
one.
brand new table, which is really important.
That is true. It is beautiful. This is almost as beautiful as Sebastian Vettel's win.
I guess the upgrades
We
work for
were
both.
in tears when we first set it up, though. We did not have a national anthem going.
No, fortunately.
We should have played the Italian anthem.
It's true. We should have.
That should just play everywhere.
Yeah, this is what our research and development has been all season. We've released a major upgrade last race. So
That's right. And so did Ferrari, apparently.
Yeah. What?
Our penalty was loss of a man.
Yeah. Try to do 2-man podcast. But no, what a race from Ferrari. I mean, they're...
I mean, if you ask Charles, it would be a little bit different.
Yeah, but I'm fine with the
It's
choice.
just not fair.
No, it's fair. I'm fine with everything Ferrari did.
No, I am too.
And their upgrade finally worked, where they have something that they can use on a track that isn't just straight lines.
Yeah.
Well, it's predominantly corners, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we were talking about it in our preview, but just me and Shaker, we're like, Ferrari are bringing some upgrades, but we're like, don't expect it to be too big. You
Right.
know?
Yeah.
And I didn't think that they were going to be horrible, but I thought that, okay, like it would be the best case scenario they get like P3.
Yeah. Because we were saying that this is not going to be a Ferrari track whatsoever. And I don't think we had any Ferrari
I don't
drivers.
think anyone had it
No.
was a Ferrari track.
No.
I don't even think we had any Ferrari drivers in our top 3. I think both of us had Max, Valtteri or Lewis in some type of order, I'm pretty sure.
And now those were the teams as the favorites, right? We moved to the power circuits. We were like, okay, that's done.
Yeah.
Now we go to the more aero-sensitive circuits, which wasn't Ferrari's strength. But what surprised me is just how they were there in every session from FP1, qualifying, and then all the way to the race. The race, to me, was the big question because race pace hasn't been one of their strong suits on any track this season. And they ended up bringing the whole package together for for them to turn, and not only just a 1-2, for them to call the strategy to improve their position, that blew my mind. I'm like, who the hell is working at Ferrari?
Yeah.
They've had some amazing strategy choices the last,
Right?
last 5 races, really.
Yeah.
Maybe more than that.
No, we're counting Germany.
Germany would be the last.
Germany
would
would
be
have been the 5th one. Yeah, I would say since
I mean,
Hungary,
Hungary or Spa.
Hungary or Spa, yeah.
It's just more like we're not used to seeing it that way. We're used to seeing them bottle strategies. And although, let's make the argument that Leclerc did lose out and he got screwed. But when you look at the team game,
Did he really though?
I honestly, personally, I thought Charles Leclerc was kind of being a little brat. I know that's really out there, but man, you won the last 2 races, and it's a team sport. That's what it is at the end. I'm sure it's one driver at the end of the season, but in the race, you're playing it as a team sport, and it was a good strategy call to get both of them in top 2 finishes.
Yeah, it was a perfect strategy call, and for Charles, I mean, it's not
Brat
like
might be overdoing it.
it's
but-
it's not like Charles didn't have any laps or any opportunity to overtake Sebastian in the rest of the race.
He couldn't.
They gave him plenty of time to overtake him, and
he couldn't do it.
He didn't do it.
Yeah.
So in the end, you can see it as a wash.
Well,
I mean,
even with the safety car, Vettel had such great starts with as soon as the safety car ended. Charles had the chance to do it, he just couldn't.
Yeah,
Vettel towards the last 30 laps or so was just so focused in on keeping that position his. He wanted that win.
his second win of the season.
Yeah,
Correct. Because there are 4 flags up at Maranello today.
it's his. I think it's his best track. He's won there 5 times.
5 times.
Five
Correct.
times. Yeah, so it's his best
5
track.
times for number 5.
Yeah.
As
Haha.
their engineer
What did he
was
call
saying.
him? The Lion of Singapore?
The Lion of Singapore.
Yeah, the Lion of Singapore.
Just interesting quickly on that. I thought that he was going to show a lot more emotion on team radio. Maybe he did. Maybe we didn't see what was released.
Well,
but
their team radio didn't. It cut out for the last 3 minutes of the race when you didn't get any of the drivers. There's something wrong with that.
well, it's also interesting too that he said it was not a relief but a confirmation. Those were his emotions following the race. So maybe he wasn't in such of a black hole as we made him out to see, or as the whole media made him out to see.
Yeah.
He was right there. He just needed that one result. But we'll get to Vettel a little bit later on. But getting back to Leclerc, yeah, I think that I would say Leclerc was necessarily a brat. I thought that it was interesting the way he handled the situation, where he was pissed off, but yet he was calm. Like after the one safety car restart, he's like, "I want everything. I want engine mode." Yeah. And then
well, that's why I use the word brat. He's like, I want everything. I want everything for this car. He's like, but Charles, like, we need this car. We need to make it to the end. He's like, oh, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
I will not do anything stupid. I know. I want a P1 and want a 1-2.
Yeah,
it's not like this.
We got to start nailing down that Leclerc impression.
I know.
Yeah.
I won't do anything stupid.
The Monaco accent itself, when you're speaking English, is kind of weird.
Well, it's like French, Italian, and English.
Yeah,
at the same time.
he's fluent in Italian. Like you were saying, right?
Yeah, he's very fluent. So it's kind of it's hard to do because it's almost it's like the Dutch English. Like they speak so like coherently, but you can tell there's an accent with it. And I would say the same thing with Charles Leclerc as well.
I was watching at work today because work's important. I was watching the podcast with Jos Verstappen, obviously Max Verstappen's father. Man, it's like they sound so similar.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's so funny, but you notice that Dutch accent, right? You pick it up right away.
Well, that's just it. Like I said, it's such they speak such fluent English, but there's a slight accent with it that you can tell that they're not pure English. But I mean, they speak it so well.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. So I think it was a kind of a conundrum, but I would agree. I think you brought up the point in saying that, listen, he had all that time behind the safety car to make a move. He didn't. But also let's look at how he handled the race in the first 20 or so laps. Now, I don't know if that was a team call going that slowly. I mean, at that point, I think Hülkenberg and Grosjean were lapping faster than Leclerc was. So that was part of the reason why his race kind of got screwed up. And then after Vettel did the undercut, everything just blew wide open. But let's also give credit to Sebastian Vettel. I know a lot of people are saying that the win was handed to him through strategy, but I mean, let's be honest, all race wins are handed to you through strategy for the most part.
Well, if you now that you just mentioned it, like if it was a call from Ferrari at the very beginning for him to go maybe not slow, but maybe just watch out for tire wear so he could last a little bit longer, maybe the strategy was to bring in Vettel the inside the entire time. And they weren't expecting the undercut.
Well, Vettel said it was a surprise to him. He said it was on the 17th corner or something like that, or 21 corner.
Very late.
They said, okay, box this lap. So obviously Charles had driven by and was not stopping, and that's why Sebastian stopped. And they stopped Sebastian so they could jump one of the Mercedes, and it worked out perfectly for them to get a little bit closer in the constructor standings.
Well, maybe Charles was kind of thinking the same thing Lewis was. If he keeps going, he could keep up his pace and get that position back. And maybe it just wasn't the right call on Charles' part to not go in,
And let's give credit to Vettel's outlap as well after the pit stop, because
it's a flyer.
Vettel's pit stop was 7/10 slower than Charles Leclerc. So that shows you how much he was pushing on that outlap.
Well, then if you even compare it to Max Verstappen coming in the same lap, he was 7/10 faster, and he still couldn't make up that time, So, yeah.
Yeah, I was just interested as to why Vettel got... I mean, typically the driver that's leading and that's got pole is the one that gets the first call to strategy. So I was a little bit interested and kind of confused as to why he was brought in first. Obviously a very late call, but still, I guess they didn't anticipate his undercut being so powerful, but it was an interesting call nonetheless.
I think they were expecting Vettel to keep Lewis Hamilton behind. I think that's one of the main reasons, but they weren't expecting Vettel to be going that fast around.
True.
And at the end of it, I don't think there was really an option for them. They had to call for Charles to come in because he needed his tires changed, and in the end, it just didn't work out for them. So I think the team strategy changed on the go. I don't think it was a set strategy from the beginning. Then, maybe like Tyler pointed out.
And let's also give credit to going back to Saturday, Charles Leclerc's qualifying lap, because
very good lap.
When I saw Vettel's first run in Q3, I'm like, okay, that's the 4-time world champion right there. The way he was pushing the car, how you could see how comfortable he was with the front end, the rear end, riding the curbs, and then Leclerc almost crashed it into the wall like 4 different times. And I'm watching on the onboard.
I think he's like, I'm surprised because he said he lost control about 4 times.
Yeah. And I don't know how he made up so much time because he just lost the rear on 4 different occasions.
Yeah.
But I think it shows the difference also between when you have a driver who's comfortable with the car versus Vettel who's not 100% comfortable with the car just yet. You can get away with driving over the limit, whereas like Vettel showed in Monza, he can't.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, that was a hell of a lap from Leclerc. And what blew me away, Charles Leclerc has the most pole positions in 2019 with 5.
Yeah. Well, even Lewis Hamilton was surprised. In the
Yeah,
press
he's like,
conference,
"Shit."
he's like, "Shit, you have 5?"
I couldn't believe
No,
that.
it was with Vettel where he was like, "Wait, he has 5? Wow, good for him."
It's amazing.
Yeah,
In a season where Mercedes have dominated the first half,
yeah,
but the fact that Leclerc's got the most, I was like, really? And
Yeah.
then, they
It was
listed
a
it
huge
off. I was
surprise,
like, wow,
yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So good for him.
because Vettel's had only the one in Montreal, right? That's it.
Correct. And Ferrari's first three-peat win in 10 years.
Wow,
Yeah,
That's another one that
it's
blew me
actually
away.
the first time in Singapore that a team has come 1-2 as well.
that's
Correct.
true.
Yeah,
What other funny stats are there?
First time since 1983, Alfa Romeo has led a race.
Well, there we go.
First non-Red Bull, Mercedes, or Ferrari driver since Williams in 2015
Yes.
to lead a Formula One race.
That's what I
Wow.
was going to go for, but I wasn't sure if we're going to move on that topic yet.
It's in the notes, so we're just
We'll
flowing along right here.
So yeah, let's transition to Antonio Giovinazzi.
what a race from him.
Good for him.
Yeah, it was one of those things that were like, man, he might finally be showing his potential, but
And it's not just one lap blood.
no,
4.
Yeah, and
4.
well, that and you include his last 2 races. Let's take away his crash at the very end. He was having a great drive
Yeah, he
until
was.
that crash, and even his last race was fantastic.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of been like a switchover from how Kimi Raikkonen performed at the first half of the season and now how he's performing in the second half of the season. It's been a complete switch. I mean, I think we mentioned this before we went on. This is the first time this year that Kimi hasn't finished a race.
Yeah.
And it's good news for Alfa Romeo,
Yeah.
right? Because we were kind of thinking, well, was Giovinazzi going to get dropped for the likes of Hulkenberg or somebody else?
I don't think so anymore.
I think they
No.
should keep that pairing, to be honest. It's a very good pairing.
Well, and Ferrari have kind of inserted themselves because obviously he was a Ferrari junior driver. They say that they're happy with Giovinazzi and they want to stay with him. Obviously, Italian driver driving
Young,
for an
yes,
Italian team,
really
young
yeah,
as
he has
well.
potential to break into that Ferrari team with Charles in the future.
Could you just
Way down the
imagine the
line.
scenes of Giovinazzi in a works Ferrari winning the Grand Prix
Oh,
in
dude, it'd
Monza?
be insane.
Oh my god!
It'd be absolutely insane.
With Mick Schumacher third in an Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm happy for him because he wasn't really finding the groove, but yeah, Monza especially was a really good performance. This was another good one. Could have even had more. I mean, he had contact there with who was it? Stroll? No, Ricardo that hit him. And he had a couple of battles as well. Had he pitted earlier, possibly could have had a better result. But the fact that he led, 3 or 4 laps, I think was really good and a good experience for him and something that he can come away with at the end of the season to say, hey, I was kind of one of the only other drivers in the top 3 to lead the F1 race.
Yeah, and I know F1 released a graphic on their Twitter, and it was the lap leaders, and it was just Antonio Giovinazzi on the bottom of 4, and they tagged him in it. And he was like, "Thanks, guys. Yeah, glad to be here."
Yeah, exactly. Because what was everybody else had like 100,
100 something.
200, and then 4.
Glad to be here.
I mean, it was a good overtake from Vettel to take over Giovinazzi and good defending in that time, but he couldn't really do anything. So he held on as much as he could.
Yeah.
The one that made the difference, though, was Vettel on Gasly. Because Gasly was
Yes.
looking racy and wasn't just going to pull over like the Ferrari junior driver was.
Yeah, he kind of forced to. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that was kind of, I wouldn't say race defining, but it was a big moment in the race to be able to clear the traffic quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, afterwards, the safety car bunched everything up, but it gave him a good 4 or 5 second gap afterwards where he was able to save tires a little bit and pull away.
Yeah, he zipped through the traffic pretty nice.
So yeah, Pierre Gasly was almost going to hold up Vettel. So I think that overtake, it was close. It was on the limit. But again, like we were saying before, Sebastian Vettel showing again shades of that 4-time world champion. So hopefully we'll see more of that going forward. And I wanted to talk about the most egregious strategy of them all.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Charles Leclerc at Ferrari, and people were missing this. It was my poor guy, Valtteri Bottas at Mercedes.
He should have been on a podium.
Yeah. Could have been.
It's Lewis's fault that he wanted to stay out there for longer.
Yeah.
Valtteri was killing it, and he should have been rewarded. I know James said, Valtteri, I'll make it up to you later, but there's not many later times.
Well, I kept on seeing all the memes memes this week after the race where people are like, "Oh, when James comes on, Valtteri touched that." I'm like, it really should have been when Lewis has to stay out longer than the strategy call, because man, just because your driver is like, no, I can keep going even though I know I don't have the pace. Why not step in and be like, hey, no, you need to change tires because this is our strategy call.
Yeah.
Why? And they screwed over another driver's race because of it. Like, how is that fair to Valtteri to keep on going on? Like, he's got another year with Mercedes, but man, I wouldn't want to be part of that team.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope that he wins at least another race this year.
He hasn't won one since the second race of this year, right?
Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan. Which would have been
race.
Fourth race?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have this pulled up on my laptop, and we'll show everybody at home, but I thought that this video perfectly summed up Valtteri's career at Mercedes.
Yes. I just love his face at that too. Just like,
Yeah.
fuck, that's not your fault.
What a poor guy, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's ever going to be allowed to stretch his legs at Mercedes with the way things are.
I hope
Man, he's a good driver, and it's very unfortunate. He would be the best teammate to have on a team.
That's why they've kept him.
I know he's a great teammate, but like he's such a good driver at the same time.
He's getting paid though, so that's good.
Man,
At least he's getting his money.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm glad someone's getting him some money.
I just found that it was crazy when we heard the words that probably keep Valtteri up at night. Valtteri, it's James.
Yeah, it's like, oh no.
Oh no.
And when
it wasn't like, it was like, can you do like a couple tenths slower? It was like, can you do 3.5 seconds slower than your last lap?
I
like,
think
what?
that just before that, he set the fastest lap.
Oh,
or something.
he
It was
did.
like 45.9 or something.
Yeah.
It was like, can you do a 148 and 3 or
148.8.
I was like, are you high? What? Like, what are you talking about? 3 seconds
talking-
slower?
Can you stop on the track for a second and then just go again?
Pull over. Just pull over and we'll keep going.
Valtteri, put it in neutral and just drive.
Just coast.
It's like, what is going on here? So, that was really disappointing for Mercedes. And it's not like this championship is close and stuff like that. I mean, Valtteri's fighting for the championship with Lewis Hamilton. And if I was Valtteri, I wouldn't have been like, screw you guys. I'll crash out Lewis too while I'm at it.
Well, he even said he's like, it wasn't his call to stay out.
Yeah.
And they didn't answer him. They wouldn't give him a straight answer, I'm pretty sure.
But the thing is he's the closest championship contender to Lewis.
Yes.
And I know it's very far away, but if I was Valtteri, I would have been like, no, I'm going to do a 45.9 because I want to win this race and I want to cut my gap in half. And how is Mercedes like, okay, I get Lewis is still leading the championship, but how are you going to go out there and ask him to do 3 seconds a lap slower so that your boy Lewis can stay ahead of him?
Yeah. Other thing that really pissed me off was Lewis Hamilton at the end blaming the team, being like, oh, I'm not very happy with the strategy call. We could have done much better. It was your call. It was your call for the reason that Valtteri ended up staying out, ended up slowing his race down, and you ended up staying out longer.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's obviously an easy one to blame. I think it's all of their faults. That's for sure. Their gamble was not a good gamble.
No, for sure.
I think everyone realized that too. They're like, everyone's just like, why are you staying out? Like, it makes no sense.
No.
Like, are you hoping? I guess you're hoping for a safety car, but I mean, that's just desperate.
Even then,
that's
though,
what like the Alphas are looking for. They're like, give me a safety car, so I'm in first place.
Right.
Now, you know?
It was a long shot at that point in the race too. It was still only the first third of the race, so I didn't see that strategy working out at all, and it didn't. He went from second to fourth, so I understand why he was pissed off.
If he stayed out for another 10 more laps, he would have gotten a safety car.
Yeah,
that's about it. Like, I don't know.
I wonder if he could have pushed a little harder on Leclerc to try and overtake, but nobody really picked up their pace that much to try and overtake. It was really after the first lap, everybody just kind of fell into line, and then we were waiting for the pit stops, and then everything just blew up.
Yeah.
After that.
I do have a question though. If the safety cars didn't happen, do you think Mercedes would have caught up to Ferrari?
No,
I don't think so.
No, I think
so.
they would have though.
You think so?
I think they would have. They had 15 laps left, and they were already both Vettel and Charles were already starting to complain how their tires were wearing. With 15 laps to go, I maybe not catch up all the way, but I think they would have gotten ahead of Max.
Maybe Max, but I think Ferrari had the right balance because it came out afterwards that Red Bull and Mercedes didn't have the correct setup, which
I
don't know how. It's not like the first time we're driving in Singapore. I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm just saying you should probably know how to set up the car by now. But
see, Red Bull I could understand because they have a brand new engine, so they're still playing around with it in Singapore. Ferrari has had the same engine with a few upgrades. Sure, I can see that side as well, but not have the right setup for the entire race. So it's kind of weird.
I mean, like they said, Mercedes, they weren't good on the curbs. Ferrari was, like, they were able to absorb curbs way better, bounce off them and stuff. So I don't know. I didn't understand that. But I guess just wrapping up on Valtteri, I wanted to show everybody this because I thought it was the funniest thing ever. And this was posted before the race. And it's just perfect the way that happened this weekend with Valtteri. So this comes from the F1 debate show. And I don't know if this was in the U.S. or something, but it was a local politician or somebody running for a position. But look at the photo of this guy and tell me not that's like a spit image of Valtteri Bottas.
It is, but
If
it's
Valtteri retired in about 10 years, put on some weight.
this is
Yes.
this is American,
Right.
So this is literally American Valtteri. He's just
Yeah.
a little bigger,
Yeah.
as if he wasn't having his Big Macs.
You know what? If Valtteri was to become a judge, I'd be okay with it. I think he would make some right calls.
Judge Bottas.
but what would happen if like the person above him would be like, Valtteri, it's
James."
James. I need you to
have
let him go.
That's true. So that's true.
Oh no!
Him again?
It's like I changed careers to not have this happen.
It's like he becomes like a race engineer one day and like his boss, Valtteri, it's James. Poor guy.
Since we're talking about team radio, do we want to talk about the whole George Russell Roman Grosjean incident and
Yes.
and just Russell's reaction to Grosjean basically driving him into the wall?
Mate, I had no space. Mate, I didn't know where to go.
Yeah, that was pretty much what Grosjean said. Well, Russell was like, what? He's like,
It's like I should have expected this.
yeah.
Hilarious. He hasn't even been around for a season and he already knows.
Oh my god, that was pretty great.
I think we can all agree that was Grosjean's fault on the accident, right?
I disagree.
I think it was Grosjean.
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
well,
Grosjean.
The other one, which we were gonna wait to get into the podcast and talk about.
Wait for that one. Wait
Yeah,
for that
we'll
one.
wait- we'll wait for
Let
that
me
one.
finish this coffee so I can be ready.
Since we're on the topic of team radio, can we just talk about who had the team radio of the race? And Danny Kvyat, just maybe one of the best lines of the season.
Yeah, if you didn't hear it, I think I don't know when it was. It was after his pit stop, but he asked his engineer, or his engineer told him, he's like, Kubica behind on the prime, and he's like, I don't give a fuck. I think this was after he took Raikkonen out of the race, maybe.
Oh my god.
But that was funny. What else was there? There was
I saw your little.
I see you're leading into this.
I saw what you did there. You said
you
just said that
you just said
he
Daniel
took-
Kvyat took Kimi Raikkonen out.
yeah, that's right.
No, that's
No, I
incorrect.
don't think so.
That is incorrect.
So disappointed that we're not
no,
agreeing.
no,
we're not
Kimi
agreeing on this.
Raikkonen turned on braking and ran into Daniel Kvyat.
I don't think he even turned on braking. He just turned into him.
Yeah,
Like he
Completely
He
disagree.
was there, but Kvyat was there. Raikkonen should have noticed
should have
No.
Danny Kvyat coming in and completely went right to the side of him.
You got to look back on the onboard footage when Kimi was already committed to the turn and to the braking zone. Kvyat was still way behind. Like
No,
Kvyat
man.
launched from way
I
far
No,
behind.
I don't think so.
That's
I
what
think
Kimi
that's
said too.
Raikkonen's fault.
Kimi
No.
said he when he looked in the mirror before he was going to the braking zone, committing to it, he saw Kvyat was way behind him. And not only that, when you look at turn one, the natural racing line is outside going to the inside. You have to hit the apex of the curb that's on the left-hand side first, and then you switch to the right. And Kvyat just torpedoed himself right in there and took the Iceman out.
No, I think it's
No.
the other way around. I think Raikkonen.
But how is he like? Why should Raikkonen have to slow down and let Kvyat overtake
He shouldn't.
him?
He should have just left him the space.
He should have left him the
'Cause he
space.
would've had
but
the
there
inside.
wasn't enough space
But he
because
would have had the inside for the next corner.
but it's not a 90-degree turn. You
Doesn't
can't
matter.
Yeah, because you're carrying apex speed into the corner, so
Yeah,
you're
you
not
can still go on
stopping
that side.
and turning in.
You can still go on that side.
You got to try it on F1 2019, bro. I just came off of the Singapore race weekend, so I consider myself an expert on this track now. Approach speed into fourth gear.
I always crashed out on the game. In
It is a
Singapore.
tough corner,
It was, like,
yeah.
really hard.
And you know what? The other thing is too is when you try to like drive like the drivers do in real life, go around the bollard, you just end up crashing in the wall.
Yeah.
So I just
Sure.
cut the corner.
So let us know what you guys think. Who was this? Kimi Raikkonen's fault?
I'm not letting you off the hook that
or
easily.
Danny Kvyat's
If
fault?
it wasn't Kimi Raikkonen's fault, why was there no penalty or anything debated about with Daniel Kvyat during the race?
Well, I
Why
agree
did
it's a
this-
race incident, but I still think it's Kvyat's fault.
No, I don't think so, man. If you look at the camera from the other side, from the onboard view and the other side, you can see Daniel Kvyat approaching in the mirror, and I think Kimi Raikkonen should have given that space.
But it's Raikkonen's corner.
Still
No, he
turn
should-
on braking. No.
If it was a 90-degree corner, I could see the point of Raikkonen should have seen him. But the nature of that corner, the fact that you're carrying so much speed, Raikkonen, if Raikkonen would have backed off and gave him more room, he would have had to go off track.
Well, look at what Daniel Ricciardo did. I think it was on Lance Stroll. That was the perfect way to take that corner, and that's Kimi Raikkonen did not do that.
I don't remember that. Turn 1?
It was that exact same turn when Daniel Ricciardo, I think, I don't know if he overtook Stroll or Perez, but I can't remember. But that was the perfect way to do that corner. And Daniel Kvyat is also at fault, but I think more of the blame goes to Kimi Raikkonen for that incident.
Still stick to my opinion.
Okay, again, let us know. Who do you
You
think?
could be here all day.
Whose fault is it? Kimi Raikkonen or Danny Kvyat? Let us know and why, and we can have a nice little positive, nice conversation down below.
Doubt it, but we can try anyways. All right, so what else do we have in the race? Speaking of Daniel Ricciardo, I guess we can transition. Nice little segue there.
Yeah, well, I was just going to mention, since I forgot to mention before, just with George Russell retiring, that was Williams' first retirement of the season.
Yeah.
Really,
which is pretty impressive.
That is actually very impressive.
So yeah, first time we've had a Williams car retire this season. Unfortunately, not to their fault. So,
And when was the last time a car retired and you're like, wow, that's impressive?
Yeah.
Like the fact that it reminds you of their record, you're like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, 15 races in, haven't had a DNF. So.
very reliable.
No, they're
they're not around a lot of cars usually. But
True. I didn't want to say it, but still, credit to Williams.
better than what they were
Correct.
at the start of the season by
Exactly.
far.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
go ahead.
No, it's fine. Transitioning into the Honey Badger, Daniel Ricciardo. Obviously, if you guys didn't follow on Saturday, he qualified 8th, and it was a good qualifying for Renault and Ricciardo. And then he got hit with a technical penalty, which we can maybe discuss whether it was
Oh, I actually
fair.
was not aware of this.
Yeah, so what happened was, basically in his first or second run in Q1, it wasn't even his good run. It was one that, it was a slower lap. He hit a bump and it created a spike in the MGUK in terms of the maximum kilowatts it can output. So forgive me, I don't know exactly what it's like 120 or 160 kilowatts.
Mm-hmm.
So when he went over the curb, it spiked up for, and it went 2 or 3 kilowatts over. But it gave him like 1/1,000,000th of a second advantage, something ridiculous. Like it wasn't a millisecond, it wasn't a tenth, like it was 0.0000001 millisecond advantage. And obviously it breached the technical regulations, and he got sent to the back of the grid.
But how is that his fault?
Wait,
It isn't.
Should they not just cancel that lap?
Well, yeah, shouldn't.
Yeah.
Why
That-
would
that'd
that
be
be
my-
a penalty? That's not something Daniel Ricciardo caused.
I
It's an
under-
accident.
I understand it's a penalty. I would have the penalty though as that lap is invalidated.
Yeah. No, I don't get why that should affect his race at the end of it, because, like I said, it's not. He didn't plan on doing that.
Yeah.
I think that, well, I do agree. I think the lap should be canceled. The problem is that it's in the regulation, and so they don't want to have that sort of inconsistency, whereas, okay, if we're giving this guy leniency, then maybe they stretch it a little bit longer. But I think that there needs to be a review of those regulations to say, okay, like 1/1,000,000th of a second isn't going to make a much difference. Like you said, let's just cancel his lap, and if the next lap that he did doesn't count, then he's out of Q1. But
Yeah.
I agree. To send a guy all the way to the back of the grid for something that he didn't even do,
Yeah.
it was unintentional. It was just some freak spike in the MGUK. Why send him to the back of the grid? It's just
Could have
not
been
fair.
some Renault guy just in the pit box and was dozing away and slipped and like just hit the
Just
MGK,
bumped it.
the setting on his.
Or he's leaning against it.
It's like,
and then
man,
just,
come on. Renault's had a boring year, but it hasn't been that boring.
Yeah.
And especially at a track like Singapore, right? Where
Yeah.
track position is key. It's
Huge.
critical.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that fired. Well, Daniel Ricciardo didn't seem that fired up on the grid beforehand.
Focused.
Yeah, focused. But at one interview, he was talking to one of the Australian TV guys, and he's like, thanks to this penalty, it's kind of a waste of my time. I'm like, really? You're an F1 driver? It's a waste of your time? I was like, that's interesting. But when he got into the race, in his words own, we're not fucking around tonight,
Yeah.
boys.
Yeah.
He was flying out there and passing everyone left and right, and for the first half of the race, and then
He had some very good battles with Perez, Stroll, Magnussen. Some very good racing involved with all of that. I had notes of this, but I forget. But I'm pretty sure those are the 4 drivers.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I made notes of it too because we didn't see it on the broadcast. It was the last lap on the battle for 11th place between, I think, Sainz, Ricciardo, Stroll,
Magnussen. No, not Magnussen.
I think Magnussen might have been in there. But anyway, it was those 3 that were in there for sure. And yeah, it was like one corner, Stroll's almost running to the back of Ricciardo. Then the next, Ricciardo's almost crashing into Sainz. It was inches apart, but it was great racing. And yeah, Ricciardo had a lot of great overtakes and then just kind of overcooked it a couple of times. He had contact with Giovinazzi, and then I forget who he had contact with that led to his puncture.
There was Giovinazzi.
Was it Giovinazzi? Yeah. So and then had to make the pit stop. It kind of screwed his race. So, but I mean, other than that, he made up like 3-4 positions first lap. So
No, he did have a very good race. I want to say almost every driver in this trade, in their own way, had a very good race. Because I would also want to mention Lance Stroll.
He did.
I think he had a very good race, and same with Perez before he crashed out towards the end there. Maybe everyone
Grosjean
except for
did not have a
Grosjean.
Grosjean did not have a good
Magnussen
race.
Except for
set
setting the fastest lap,
yeah.
which he holds on to, which was at the very end.
Yeah.
Is it just tire wear towards the middle of the race that he just couldn't keep any pace whatsoever? I think I missed that. Missed them bringing that up.
It's Haas's problem.
Yeah.
Really. Like their tires just fall off like crazy. So yeah, but I noticed that too. Like after the first pit stops, we just got into this great flow of racing. And there was great racing. First 20 laps or so, I was like, oh, maybe this is going to be one of those boring races. But afterwards, everything just picked up, and I thought that all the drivers were really racy.
Yeah.
And how the race unfolded, the drama, the strategies, the wheel-to-wheel banging was really good.
Yeah, no,
I really enjoyed it.
It's Manchester United game was on at the same time. Even though it was a shitty game, I was watching their F1 race way more than I was watching the game. So it was a very good race.
It was a good Singapore
Yeah,
Grand Prix.
it was. They kept you entertained the entire time. I think it was 3 safety cars within 7 laps or something like that. Maybe 10 laps. But yeah, no, it was really good. I had a couple other things I wanted to mention. You guys keep talking. I'll remember.
Awkward pause.
The safety cars were kind of, I don't know, it would have been interesting to see how everything would have played out if those safety cars weren't there. But Sebastian Vettel did a good job on the first one. The second one, Leclerc, I'm talking about the restarts, Leclerc read him like a book and was very close.
Yeah.
And then the third one, Vettel caught everyone napping, went like a couple.
Very smart.
Yeah, went a little early, and
He always takes it on the corners, doesn't he? I think that's what I noticed in at least his one good one, or his 2 good ones.
He's done it in a lot of previous races,
Yeah, just right on the corner, he'll take off, and people won't expect it. So
I remember Baku last year, how well he handled safety car restarts. That was one thing that popped in my mind. I was like, and it shows the experience, right? And I just think he had a really, really great weekend.
yeah,
And even if he wouldn't have won this race, he would have finished maybe 2nd or 3rd.
yeah, I think so.
I think it would have been a good weekend for him. The fact that he was there in qualifying within a couple of tenths, and his race pace was good, and he just seemed comfortable with the car. But him winning was just a great result for him, and he's back, and that's all he needed. He just needed that one race. All these people, he's going to retire, Ferrari going to drop him. Look at the fact that Ferrari gave him a preferred strategy. The fact that look at the reaction of the team, how happy they were for him. Even Charles Leclerc, I'll give him credit, was giving him props after the race, after he kind of had the adrenaline more off. He was like, you know what? Okay, if Ferrari explained it to me as we did it for a 1-2, then I can understand. So they've got a very interesting team dynamic because it could get very heated. If they start battling for the championship, that could get really interesting and it could get even more heated. But there's a lot of unity in Ferrari at the moment, and they're on fire.
No, they really are, and I'm really excited to see what they can bring to Russia now because if this upgrade worked in Singapore, you'd think it would work in Russia too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Russia is another track that sort of would suit the new Ferrari car.
yeah.
But
Well, it would
Mercedes
suit
as
the
well.
Mercedes,
Correct, yes. Which we will get into in our Russian preview, but very interesting in the last couple races. And that brings me to one of the last things I wanted to talk about was, for me, I'm curious to see what you guys think, but personally, I think 2019 has been the strangest, weirdest season in F1
for sure.
in my recent memory.
I mean, I've only started watching last year, but yeah.
100%. Easy answer for you then. So, but the reason why I say that is because WTF1 was talking about this on their podcast, and they posted a cool graphic here of the first 5 races, and you guys can see the standings after the first 5 races, so Australia to Spain. And then look at the standings in the last 5 from Germany to Singapore, and you see that, 5th, 3rd place, they're all separated by 10, 12 points.
Yeah.
It's very, very close, whereas the first 5 races, complete sweep for Mercedes. First 8 races were won by Mercedes, actually. And we were talking about it. We've had videos you guys can go back to about how F1 is bad. This is not good for the sport. And then after Austria, man, everything just hopped off, and it's turned into a really exciting season. But it's so weird. We talked earlier about Charles Leclerc having the most pole positions, even though it's been a Mercedes-dominated season in which they've wrapped up the championship basically after the first 6 races. Mm-hmm. But now Leclerc's got the most poles. Now Ferrari's won 3 races in a row.
Yeah.
Before that, Red Bull seemed like they were going to challenge for second in the championship. Like, it's just so weird in a season that you feel like it's Mercedes-dominated, but these other 2 teams are still doing really well. I don't know. I just feel it's so
weird. It's like the Leicester season of soccer.
Except there's no
Alfa Romeo winner.
But are you saying there is a chance? Are you saying there's a chance that Ferrari comes back?
No.
To win the Constructors' Championship?
No. I think the gap is too big.
I agree. I think it's a big fight for maybe 2nd or 3rd. What's Valtteri points at?
Valtteri's about 64 points behind Lewis Hamilton at this point.
Yeah, 1st and 2nd are locked in my opinion.
Yeah, no, and I'm not saying it's from that perspective. Like I said, I think if Hamilton were to finish like 3rd the rest of the way and Leclerc Vettel exchange wins, he's still going to win the championship by some 20-odd points. But again, it just seemed like at the beginning of the season, we're like, man, this season's going to suck. The racing sucks. All these stupid penalty decisions. Mercedes winning all the races. Ferrari's nowhere. Red Bull's nowhere. And then all of a sudden, we're getting all these think back to Spain and France, how bad those races were.
Awful.
Yeah. And then
I fell asleep.
And then think back to Germany, Singapore, Monza, Austria, Britain. Classic races that could go down as the best in the decade. I just can't read this season. I don't know what's going to happen.
It's weird. It is really weird. I wish this was all season. Imagine this as how the season started. It would have been phenomenal.
Amazing. It would have been a historic season. It would have been a 2012-esque style season, because in this graphic too, they've only done the last 5, and that doesn't count Austria or Silverstone. So it probably would be even closer, and you'd have a 3, 4, 5-way fight for the title heading to Abu Dhabi. Whereas now, a couple races from now, Lewis will be crowned 6-time world champion.
Yep.
So it's unfortunate. I'm disappointed that it took this long for F1 to kind of get underway, but maybe Ferrari's like, we got him now. We've got him right where we want him.
Yeah.
This is your plan all along.
Yeah. 100 some odd points behind, but now we're going to start.
Now this is where it counts.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that it then for...
No, there's somebody I want to mention that the broadcast did dirty as well. Lando Norris. We haven't talked about him this entire broadcast. Again, I think this is the 3rd or 4th race in a row. He has been the best of the rest, and there has been no coverage on him whatsoever.
Yeah. Same with Carlos Sainz, too, in the end.
Yeah, we got a couple of glimpses of Carlos Sainz. Again, I think Lando Norris had a fantastic race, and he did a really good job staying behind those top 6 cars, and basically keeping the top 6 and the rest of the racers kind of separated.
Yeah.
There was no real instance where we saw that Lando Norris was going to be taken over. And I think him coming in first year into his car, 18 years old, he's doing a really good job.
He is 7th place again.
I must say, did you guys see his team radio from the first practice session where I don't know who was in front of him, and he's like...
It was Carlos Sainz?
Yeah, he's like, what is he doing?
What is he doing?
He reminded me of you. I don't know why. He just sounded like you in that instance. I was like, that's like, like Tyler.
He did that as a joke, though, right? Because he knew it was... No, he said, what is this guy doing?
Yeah.
And it was like... Yo, man, that's your teammate.
Good old Lando. He's always good for a laugh.
Well, you guys were talking about the Sky Sports thing. Just
that was really good.
That was
He's
hilarious.
like, well, you're short.
And Lando was like, what?
Bitch?
Oh, boy.
But yeah, no, I just wanted to give him a mention because I thought the broadcast did him kind of dirty.
Lando has been phenomenal. See if he brings that to Russia as well.
Yeah. All right. Anything else from Singapore?
Happy retirement to Kvyat.
Correct. Yeah. Kubica not returning in 2020.
Yeah, in 2020.
Yeah.
But he's not retired.
He's gonna. I
just
know,
yet.
but
F1 retirement.
F1 retirement. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have more on him probably at the end of the season. But even though it hasn't necessarily worked out for him, I still think it's been a great comeback.
I think it's been great for him to come back. So
a good
for
year.
sure. I think that's
All right.
it.
I think we've covered everything.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So this is a
We didn't do our driver.
driver of the day.
Yeah.
Sebastian Vettel. For me.
Sebastian Vettel.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's Sebastian Vettel.
Oh my god. Well, on that terrible disappointment, it's time to end.
I don't
Too
think
bad.
legally we can say that, Tyler.
Can we? Yeah, probably not.
I don't think so.
Oh.
But why don't we take a left turn down Conversation Street and finish off this podcast? Well, it's funny because then last week you said if Vettel were to win or do better, we'd put him in the middle, and there he is.
There we go.
Perfect.
With the checkered flags.
That's right. And his mug as well.
Yes.
I tried to
there
get
we
as
go.
much Vettel gear as I could. So I'm sure you guys are so happy out there. We know we got so many Ferrari fans following the show. That's right, folks. Second win of the season. Don't
Yes.
try to debate that.
Yeah,
second
hit
win
a
of the
second win of the season.
All right, so we'll be back tomorrow then. If you're watching this on Wednesday, we'll be back tomorrow with our Russian Grand Prix preview. This is the other back-to-back heading to the Sochi Autodrome. Very interesting weekend, and we'll be breaking down all the track and circuit info there. Also, we got our F1 Power Rankings, round 15, dropping this Friday. It should be interesting. Who's going to be number one after a very topsy-turvy Singapore race? So I think that we'll have some disagreements there as well. Anything else from you guys? Are we good?
No, I think that's it.
No, I think
All right.
that's it.
Thanks, everybody. Bye for now, and we'll see you for Russia.